What's going on, team? Proof here, and today I'm gonna give you guys one of my testing lists that I've been using to test out the stuff that we got in Premium Collection. And I wanted to do this just to give people kind of like a jumping off point to use if they didn't have a clear pathway of figuring out how to use the cards that we got in Premium Collection. This isn't necessarily what a final list is going to look like when the stuff comes out for spikes, and it's not necessarily the best version to go with, depending on what your meta is. But I figured it'd be nice to give you guys something to have as a jumping off point and kind of flesh out my ideas that I've been trying. And ideally, this won't be very long, so we'll see how that goes. So for the grade zeros, I've been using V Mecha Trainer. I like the draw that it gives, and it also gives you an additional soul to use with Violence Ace if you get there. 5 crit with 4 of the new crit machinery slot back, because just to have some type of crit pressure, and slot back feeds into Violence Ace, so very nice to have that. V heals just because they're big shield value if you need it, and we don't have the Deadly Engine to get the Deadly Lindsay heals effectively. Draw PGs, and then Mecha Instructor, the stand trigger. We use him because he can help out being called out through Gyroslinger for Violence Ace. He's still good with Agris and Picaro. He also feeds Soul for Violence Ace, and he meshes well with Force 2 because if you have a big Juggernaut Maximum or insert rear guard there, you can restand it and attack with it again without having to worry about Ace's CB1 call skill. For the grade 1s, got this easy generic setup of 4 Ganon, 4 Wonder Boy, 3 Gyroslinger. Gyroslinger got a big boost because it has nice synergy with Violence Ace, because you can use it in the same turn as a main phase Soul engine to then immediately use the card you put into the Soul to Soul Blast it out to give something 10k from Violence Ace's skill. So really nice synergy there. And then Ganon and Wonder Boy are just generically good cards that we want to be using. No Stride Fodder, because as you can see I have 11 grade 3s, and my thinking behind that, kind of skipping ahead a little bit, is that I wanted to have more grade 3s because Juggernaut Maximum is such an important rear guard that I didn't want to have cards. I didn't want to ride him as Vanguard if I didn't need to. So having Unite Attacker in there filled 2 roles because it was able to give me more Vanguards with Force to be able to use those effectively, and it gave me another outlet to have for Formido Stride, because with the filtering and sometimes with the occasional draw trigger and just drawing and checking and stuff, you can very likely get 2 of Safe Free or Unite Attacker to be able to use Formido if you need to. And then for the grade 2s, same generic beats of Bracky, Panther, and Spike Bouncer. I kind of find myself using Spike Bouncer more for his rear guard ability, Counter Blast 1, put it to the soul after it attacks, and then draw a card, because that way I can get an additional draw, an additional soul, and I can get a rear guard out the way to make my opponent want to hammer in on my Vanguard. Because our main 3 strides for first stride, which are Formido, Violence Ace, and Agris, all require Counter Blast. So we want to be aggressive sometimes, but we also don't want to shut ourselves out from getting Counter Blast when we need it to. And then for strides, I'm going to go from left to right, top to bottom, because CFA is kind of funky with their setup. So we have 1 Picaro if we need it to. I honestly haven't used Picaro yet in my testing. I don't know if necessarily it gets pushed out from Violence Ace, but I'm not quite yet ready to let it go. A Dismal to protect some things if we need it. 2 Linus because the flip stride is necessary, and I think 5 G guards is the bare minimum you want to be playing with spikes. 1 Marindal just for the free flip if we need it. 1 Raccoon for filtering. 1 Hellheart 8 because he's the boy and we need him to finish off games. He does get kind of awkward with Force 2 because the only sources of power come from your rear guards and your triggers, not from the Force circles themselves. However, having 2 Force circles out with Hellheart 8 and your opponent's at 4 damage becomes really fun. So we kind of like that. And I've noticed myself going to Force 2 more often than going to Force 1 because we get free power regardless, either through the call skills like Bracken and whatnot. And then we also have Violence Ace now, which gives power in a burst fashion. And then triggers, of course, but we don't really want to rely on those. But we have enough natural power gain to the where Force 2 becomes more of a natural fit over Force 1 in most matchups, at least with this version of the deck. And then we have 4 Agris because he's really good first stride, and sometimes you might need to go into him twice over the course of a game. 1 Gase might go to 2, might take out one of the other G-Guards that's not Linus to fit in a second one, just to help put cards back to the deck to help counteract Violence Ace a little bit, because if the game goes long, you just turbo through your deck. 1 Formido because the retire is really good. If you get there, the Soul Charge can be good if you plan to go into Violence Ace soon thereafter. And then the draw, in addition to that, is kind of a tacked on, as I talked about in a previous video. And then for me, I'm currently playing 3 Violence Ace. I don't think I've gone into the third one yet. Maybe 1 game recently. But overall, it's usually been 2 uses of Ace and then the game's over. But I feel like I haven't faced enough control matchups yet to then want to get rid of the third one. Because I feel in those matchups, we might want to be playing the third Ace just in case we need it. So that's the deck. So far, it's been really good to me because I enjoy this style of spikes with the beats, and then you have some more of the tempo and the draw coming with Violence Ace in the future. And then if you needed to, you can go into Hellheart 8 if the game gets to that point. Because sometimes you might be able to finish off with First Stride into Violence Ace, or Agris into Agrius, or Agris into Violence Ace, or some sort of combination like that. It feels really good to finally have a G-Zone that's kind of more toolboxy in spikes, because that wasn't always the case throughout the history of G up to now. It's always been like insert thing here, finish and stride here. There's not really been much mixing and matching as we have variety now, so that's been really nice. But that'll do it for this video. I hope that it helps out somebody, because that's what I like to do. But that'll do it for me. Hope you enjoyed this series from Premium Collection up to now, and I still want to get you guys some replays for that. I'm not sure exactly how I want to do it just yet, because I do want to give some type of commentary most likely, but also know that people don't always like commentary. So if you guys have any ideas for that, let me know. But yeah, that'll do it for me, and until the next one, peace, be easy.